What's up, everybody? Welcome to Make Things Tiny. My name is Mick. There's a state in the US that consistently tops the charts for everything ranging from affordability to economic opportunity, and that state is Utah. So today we're going to talk about tiny house community options available to you in Utah. I think this is a great video for those of you who have been considering Utah. Maybe it's been on your radar, or if you're just looking for another place to potentially go and experience your tiny house journey. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and let's jump into it. Let's talk about tiny house communities in the state of Utah. Alright, welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about tiny house communities in Utah. There's a couple of reasons why I think Utah is worth talking about. I think first and foremost, the cost of living is not actually one of those reasons. I was surprised to see that. Now, I assumed that Utah was more inexpensive, and some parts of the state are, but overall, you're going to experience a higher median family income for the state. So it's hovering around 90K compared to 80K nationally. You do have Salt Lake City, which I've heard great things about. It's on my list of places to visit. There are 5 national parks in the state of Utah. I think that right there is a big factor to consider Utah. So many opportunities for you to be outdoors, experience really incredible landscapes and wildlife. You've got Zion National Park. So if you're interested in the outdoor lifestyle, I would definitely say to put Utah on your list of potential places to go tiny. You've got winter sports as well too. I think when most people think of Salt Lake City, they think of like skiing. So you have that experience as well too. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Utah tops the list for the best state in the country. So for the past 3 years in a row, Utah has been the #1 state in the United States. Now, this is based off of a report from US News and World Report. They basically use a lot of different factors to determine this. One of them are crime, economy, the education system. There are more people that are educated in the state of Utah compared to the US as a whole. Almost 50% of the people in the state of Utah have a college degree compared to like 38% for the US as a whole. Healthcare, infrastructure, you name it, Utah apparently tops the list when it comes to that. So that right there could be a reason for you to consider Utah as well too. Now, when we're looking at the cost of living, I did mention it briefly, it's actually not that cheap to live in Utah. So the overall median housing price in Utah is over $100,000 over the national one, which sits at around $420. You're looking at $537,000 for housing, and it keeps going up. It looks like 1%, year over year. Or I'm looking at Zillow data. So when you're looking to buy a traditional home, maybe Utah isn't the best market for you, but it could be a good place for you to go tiny. Now, when we're looking at tiny house laws, what's interesting about the state of Utah is that when you look at Salt Lake City in particular, they state that they actually don't have any, strict regulations. So there's no minimum square foot size, which could be great for those of you who want a home that's smaller than 400 square feet. You're trying to downsize even more than the IRC code for defining tiny houses. The only sort of like caveat is that it does have to be on foundation. Now, I will say that I'm seeing this trend sort of like sweeping across the United States in general. As I look at other states, look at cities within those states, it seems like counties are finding more value, or it makes more sense to them to have tiny homes on foundations compared to tiny houses on wheels. So if you're looking to move to Utah and put a tiny house on wheels, you might have more pushback, or it might be more difficult for you because tiny houses on wheels are seen as RVs, so you can't live in those long term. So as I always say, make sure you check the county, make sure you check the city, because you never want to buy the house and then not be able to have anywhere to put it. When we're talking about the tiny house climate in general, there's a couple of things. So if you remember, I did a video a while back with the Other Side Village. So that's a tiny house community that's particularly serving those who are transitioning out of homelessness. So there is a climate of seeing tiny houses as an option for affordable housing. There's tiny house builders as well, such as Foxy Tiny Homes. They build tiny houses. Now their starting price is a little bit higher at like $115,000 all the way over to $275,000, but the homes do look incredible. So it is worth checking them out if you're looking at a builder in Utah or in the surrounding area. So you've got tiny house communities already there for those transitioning and out of homelessness, and you've got builders. So in general, it's worth it to consider a tiny house community because in a perfect world, you're going to save money. You're going to get amenities you wouldn't necessarily get if you're just on a piece of land by yourself or parking it in someone's backyard. I'm seeing more and more communities being closer in, which is great. There's security, you can consider if some of them are gated, and then ultimately it gives you the opportunity to try it, which I can't stress enough. It's really important to try it before you decide to make it like a permanent thing. So it could be a good opportunity for you if you could rent a tiny home or something like that in a community. In terms of tiny house communities in the state of Utah, there is not a traditional tiny house community where it's exclusively tiny homes like some of the other communities you've seen on the channel, like in Texas or North Carolina or South Carolina. However, there is a tiny house and RV park sort of like combined. It's called Hillside Palms. This is what their website looks like. Hillside Palms RV Park is located in St. George, Utah, so it's about 15 minutes from a Walmart, so that's really good. You don't have to drive too far for your basic things. It's 30 minutes from Zion National Park, so that's also a huge plus. It allows for tiny homes and for RVs. It's $295 a week, which with all your utilities included. Utilities, Wi-Fi, trash, all that stuff, and you've got monthly options as well too. So even though it's not a traditional tiny house community, you do have the ability to go and park your tiny house in one of those RV sites and pay a monthly amount. Next up, and probably the most well-known when it comes to tiny homes in Utah is Zion's Tiny Getaway. So this is what their website looks like. Zion's Tiny Getaway is located in Apple Valley, Utah, which is 30 minutes from a Walmart. It's about an hour out from Zion National Park. It's a tiny house resort, but it's unique in that there's over 60 tiny homes for you to choose from. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you to go and check out Utah and check out tiny living all in one. You can be on grid, you can be off grid. It looks like they're hovering around $99 to $115 a night when you go to their site and see all the different homes they have available. But the cool thing is that you can become an owner. So you could go there and get a tiny house. Maybe they do resale, or you could put a tiny house there potentially. So it's definitely worth reaching out to them and asking questions, because this is a really unique opportunity to go and try tiny living, but also potentially be a part of this resort. Next up is Cliffside Cabins and RV Park. This is what their website looks like. Cliffside Cabins and RV Park is located in Glendale, Utah, so it's 90 minutes from a Walmart. It's pretty far out. There is a grocery store in town, but you are going to be in a little more remote location compared to Zion's Tiny Getaway and Hillside Palms. It's only rentals. It's just short term, $200 a night. They have shipping containers as well too, and RVs. But they've got, all the amenities: laundry facilities, fire pit, dog park. I think this is worth mentioning as just an option for you to go and check out tiny homes, especially since they have more modern looking tiny homes. So it might give you a chance to get a sense for the aesthetic that you're looking for and the design for your overall tiny house when you buy one yourself. I know land is important to a lot of y'all that are watching the channel now, so I always want to make sure that I consider and do a little bit of research on the land options in each state. For Utah, there's not as much when it comes to finding locations that are more green with water features, more similar to what a lot of you might be used to. There are a lot more that are giving more desert sort of vibes, but I did find one here in Bryan Head, Utah for $45,000. You're looking at about half an acre, but you do have a water feature, you are close to water, so that's a huge plus. In general, if you're looking to buy land in the Salt Lake, Provo, Utah area, as you can see here, it's pretty expensive. But I did want to show you so that you all have an idea of the fact that there's tons of land available in these particular areas that are close in to this major city, but it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, depending on what you're looking at. So just keep that in mind. If you do want to go the land buying route, you're probably going to be pretty far out of Salt Lake or Provo if you want to save money. Ultimately, it depends on what you're interested in and what's best for you. So you can either buy the home and rent the land, which is still kind of where we're at. The majority of your options are going to be buying the home and renting the land, or buying land and then building the tiny house yourself, or getting someone to build it. I'm still, actively searching for places where you can buy the home and own the land. I know that's where a lot of you are primarily looking right now, and that's where a lot of your interests lie, because you want to make sure you're owning the land as well as the home. Based on this video today and the different options I found, you've got 4 options in the state of Utah. You can either go to Hillside Palms, which is an RV park that allows tiny homes. You can check out Zion's Tiny Getaway, which gives you the opportunity to try out tiny living or go the sort of investment route with your tiny home. Cliffside Cabins and RV Park, which gives you a chance to check it out through tiny house rentals, or buying land and doing the DIY route. But as always, I want to hear from you all. Have you been to Utah? Have you considered the Utah area for going tiny? If you live in Utah, I definitely want to hear from you all. So make sure you drop comments. I love to hear from you and know where you're at on your tiny journey. If you haven't seen my other videos on tiny house communities, you can check those out here. And don't forget to think tiny. I'll see you guys in the next one.